Hey, 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 it's Dr. Day coming to you on this Sunday evening. Just popped in to just bring another word to you. Not going to be long, like I always say, I don't have to be long winded just to bring a message. Um, Hope you've had a good day today. I want to come out of the book of Genesis, and I'm coming out of the book of Genesis, chapter 19, and I'm going to start at verse 15. And some of you might know the story, and then some of you might not. And I'm just not going to assume so everybody know the story, but I would advise you to read Genesis 19 in its entirety so you'll get an understanding of what I'm talking about. So on verse 15, it says, "And when the morning rose, then the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy two daughters which are here, lest not be consumed in the iniquity of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid upon his hand and upon the hand of his wife, upon the hand of his two daughters, the Lord being merciful unto him, and they brought him forth and set him without the city." And then I want to skip down to verse 26. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. So, to give you just a brief synopsis of the story, we're talking about Lot, who was Abraham's nephew, and he lived in the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And we probably heard the story so many times, Sodom and Gomorrah, how it was so wicked, with all kind of perversion and all kind of stuff that was going on in the city. And the smell of the nostrils of the sinfulness of what people were doing came up to the nostrils of God, and he just got tired, and he sent two men into the city, two angels, to tell Lot that God was getting ready to destroy the city. And Lot, explained this to his son-in-laws, but of course, when you're told to do something and you're trying to be obedient and people don't understand what you're talking about because it doesn't make logical sense to them, they will disregard you. And I know at the time when Sodom and Gomorrah was being destroyed, his son-in-laws wished they had listened to what the father-in-law said. But nevertheless, Lot took his two daughters and his wife, and the angel said, "Get out of the city, don't turn around, don't look, just keep it moving, going out to the town outside in the mountains called Zor." And so as they were fleeing and looking, and God was bringing, they were fleeing and leaving, God brought brimstone and fire upon the city of Sodom and Gomorrah. And the Bible goes on to tell us as they were running, now the angels gave them specific instructions. We get specific instructions. We just have to be obedient to the instructions that's given to us. We don't have to try to understand it. We just have to obey them. And they were told to go to the city outside of Sodom and Gomorrah and stay there. But in the process of them leaving, the Bible tells us that Lot's wife turned into a pillar of what? Salt. Whether this was a metaphor or was it for real, I don't know. I don't remember reading anywhere, and I could be wrong, that this her statue monument is still exists today. But whatever, nevertheless, the Bible talks about she turned into a pillar of salt, and during that time salt was used as a preservative. And so in this case, um, as Sodom and Gomorrah was being destroyed, of course it was not preserved. So it was used as in destruction. Okay, like I said, it was used as a preservative to preserve and to keep things, but right now it was used as a destruction. Sodom and Gomorrah was totally destroyed, and she turned to a pillar of salt. Now, it doesn't say, it says she turned, some translation says she looked back, she turned back. We don't know if she took her physical body and she turned back, but we know that she did look back. And I'm beginning to believe she looked back over the life that she had in Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, of course, Lot was rich. He was Abraham's son, Abraham's nephew, excuse me. So I'm quite sure he had a lot of possessions. And so sometimes you get caught up in your possessions. So she was living a life of luxury. She was living a life of Riley. And now these two men who are totally strangers in her mind, like, I don't know who these people is, and they're telling me to leave what I am comfortable and I have. I know what I have. I've been enjoying this lifestyle, living in this big mansion. I have all the cars, I have all the furs, I have all the Louis Vuittons, I have all the Chanel and the Gucci, I got all these things. Now these total strangers is coming here telling me to leave all my possessions here and to go on about my business. And how many of you know that sometimes when you think about things that you have regretted in your life, you regret something, you feel sorry, or you think about something that you should have did, you say, I wish I could have, should have. And this is one of those times where she should have wish I could have, should have, but she wasn't given the opportunity to wish I could have, should have. She didn't have no regrets. She just turned into a pillar of salt. So sometimes, everything that you have might not be exactly God wants us to live the fruitful life. Don't get me wrong. He wants us to have all the good things, but sometimes all those good things for some people becomes idols. It becomes, this is the only thing that they know. They hold on tightly, they hold on dearly, and they don't want to let go. And they will even lose their soul and lose their life and sell their soul to the enemy to hold on to those things. And because she was this, this type of person, she just could not understand why she had to leave. And she looked back, and in her looking back, she became that pillar of salt. And she was left there standing like an encrusted monument. Okay. She was just there. And that's just a reminder of us today. Don't have no regrets. And, I made a mistake. The different things that we go on in life. I really do believe uh, I used to think about, I made a mistake and I shouldn't have did this. I have regrets. I wish I could have, should have. But as older I get, I realize that even when I think about mistakes and regrets, it was, I chose to do it. I was the common denominator. I didn't have to do it. Just like Lot's wife, she didn't have to turn around. She was already warned. She was already given the instructions what to do. She, already, kind of knew that this is the time to be obedient. And when you are not obedient, there are consequences for your disobedience. And so I think in learning in life that, I can't go back and say, I wish I could have, should have, and I should have did this. No, at the time, I was Lot's wife, like so many people. We have so many things. This world has so much that's offered to us. We're just so materialistic people. Everything that looks good, we want it. The new thing that's in. We have become clones, really, people, no individuality. Everybody is just following everybody. If somebody gets a Chanel, Chanel is at the time, or, whatever the going, purse is at the time, everybody wants it. Do you really like that type of purse? Man, some people probably do and some don't. But because everybody have it, you want it. And so this was Lot's wife. She started thinking about all those things that she had. She probably was the best dressed lady in the town because they were wealthy and had money. So she started having all these thoughts like, I'm turning around and seeing. And when she turned around, even as the fire and brimstone was coming down, it was nothing that she could have did anyway, in her thought process. I don't even know why she even thought, and we'll never know why she thought to turn around, but nevertheless she did. And that's what some of us sometimes we look back over our lives and we don't want to change. We become comfortable, we become complacent, we become like things just we're just so used to things and material things that we don't understand that when we leave this world, that none of those possessions that we have, we can take it with us. Okay, your family gonna take them to the Goodwill, or they gonna throw them away, they're gonna sell them or something, but you can't take none of those possessions. So you have to stop looking back like Lot's wife and fantasizing on the things that you used to do, the people that you used to be with. And women, we are so guilty of that. I know, I remember when I was in a relationship and we broke up, I started looking back and thinking about all the things that maybe I should have did, I didn't do right, maybe I didn't do this right, maybe I should have did this. Now if I had did this, maybe did that. We start, putting all these scenarios in our head that, if I hadn't have done this, maybe this would have turned out this way. So you look back over your life. You look back and say, when I was 20, maybe you're in your whatever, excuse me, you're in whatever the latter parts of your life now. And you look back and you say, I wish I should have done some things back then. You can't change it. You can't change it. Just move forward. And when you keep looking in the past and looking behind you, you have no room for the future. You have no room for the things that God, has for you. Just like when you're driving, you have a rear view mirror. That mirror is to look for those things behind you. You can't drive and be looking back there. That's behind you. Wherever you driving, that scenery that you pass, it's behind you. And so that's the way life is. You can't keep looking back saying, I wish I could have and I should have did this and I didn't do that. You can't do that. You got to press forward. You got to be moving towards those things that God has for you. Just like ladies, when you have your closet and your closet is over full with clothes, and I know many of us are guilty of this. I know I was. I say, okay, I'm going to clean the closet out. And then I look at this outfit and I say, oh, okay, I'm going to use this. And then I put it over here in this pile. And then next thing I know, everything that I took off the hangers that I was supposed to be taking to the Goodwill or, sew it into someone is back over here. Because I keep looking back that when I was a size 6, that I could get into that. I'm holding on to stuff that, has no value. I am not in a size 6 no more. So why am I holding on to something? And we're very guilty of that. We don't want to let go of those things. And some things that we hold on to are detrimental to us. Like women, you sometimes you hold on to a man and you know that he's no good. You know that he calls you all out your name. You know that he spends your money. He takes advantage of you. But you just hold on and you cling to that because you don't want to make a mistake and you don't want to have no regrets and you don't want to be by yourself. So you keep looking back that the last time we, maybe had a disagreement or whatever, I'm not going to do the same thing this time. I'm going to use a different approach. So you keep looking back and analyzing, thinking about what you did then and how it's going to be different. No, sometimes you just got to totally let go. I know it hurt. I know you think that that was your knight in shining armor. And maybe in the beginning, if it was, but then y'all both become comfortable with each other. And then, sometimes people just think that other things that's greener on the other side of the pasture. So they want to venture out, but you got to let go. And when you let go, don't look back. Don't have no regrets because God has something better for you. When you let go of something, God always replace it with something better. And you have to believe that. And so, like the story goes, like I said, Lot's wife, she didn't want to let all the life that she had. She was used to it. Here she going to unfamiliar. That's another thing. Sometimes we don't want to step forward and we don't want to go to another dimension or another promotion in any areas of our life. A new job come open and we don't put in the application for the new job because it's unfamiliar to us and we don't know that we can do it. We don't have faith in ourselves. You don't have faith in God that if God opened the door for you, then God is going to give you the necessary tools to accomplish the job that you're doing. And so we look back and we hold on to where we at. We stay stagnated. We stay complacent right where we are. And then we look back and say, well, if I move forward, the last time I left that other job and I got this job, it was hard for me to get settled, and I just got comfortable in this job. Maybe you left that job 3 months ago, whenever the probationary period is over and a new opportunity come, but you're so busy looking back about what happened when you came, met new people, and you had to get readjusted, so you didn't apply yourself. So you keep thinking about what happened on the last go time. No, you got to move forward. God is a forever progressing, moving God. He's always got something better for you. You don't have to keep looking behind you. You don't have to keep looking at those things that are behind you. Like Lot's wife, like I said, she was so familiar. She was so comfortable. She left her home girl, all her partners that she used to go to the mall with, and that she would have her little tea parties with, and the things that they used to do together. So now here she going to a city of Zor. She don't even know what's in Zor. Matter of fact, the name probably didn't even sound right to her. But she was comfortable in Sodom and Gomorrah. Maybe she was participating in the sins that was going on. I don't know. The Bible doesn't tell us that. We know that Lot was a righteous man. And so I just stopped by on tonight to tell someone quick, it's to the point, and I don't have to beat around the bush. Don't be like Lot's wife. Don't let your life become a pillar of salt where you just stop right there in place. You don't move forward. You don't go nowhere. You just become stuck right there. You might not turn into a pillar of salt like she, physically do, like the Bible said. If it did, or if it was a metaphor, just speaking of, looking back means, reflecting on things in the past. Okay, but you don't have to be that way. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to stop and keep looking back over your life and having regrets. And I wish I could have, should have. I know there were times when I was saying, boy, I wish I could have did this. If I would did this and I did that. No, everything that I did was a progression, and it was a part of the journey of my life to learn to get me to this point right now. Because see, if we would try to change anything, just like going forward, and we step out of place and we try to get before God, we mess up the things that God has for us. So going back there, if you have the opportunity to change something, it'll mess up the journey and the steps that God had for you going in the future. There's a reason that you have to go this path. There's something, straightforward in the path that you need. And each step is like, when you're in school, you go from kindergarten to first grade to second grade to third grade. Each level is a learning process. Each level of grade, the school that you was in, you learn something different. When you were in the first grade, you learned the stuff that you needed for the second grade. When you were in the second grade, you learned stuff that you needed for the third grade. But if you was to get in the third grade and try to go back to the second grade, then you're going to mess up the third grade, if that makes sense to you. So stop looking back. Stop being like Lot's wife. Okay, what you had back there in the past, God will give you more. He will give you double for your troubles. So again, I'm not going to be long. What I've been on here like 15, 20 minutes. I don't know. It don't take me long to say what I have to do. Take me long to say what I have to say, not to say what I have to do. Sometimes I be talking fast. But read Genesis 19. Read the whole thing about how Sodom and Gomorrah, and if you look at the world, we're in a Sodom and Gomorrah era, okay? And people are just doing all kind of stuff just like then. And God, he's merciful, and he's merciful, y'all. That's all I can say. God is merciful. He's merciful. And God is a loving and compassionate God. And we just don't know. So God wants us to go forward. and focus on the plans that he have for your future rather than what you should have did back then or what you had back then. You got to let it go. Yes, sometimes it hurts. It will hurt letting things go. I know I've been there, done that, wore that t-shirt. When the man broke up with me, it hurt, but I had to let it go. I looked back on a couple of times, after we did break up, I would come home and, sit in my room and listen to Luther Vandross and, all those songs that would take you into a mode of deja vu nostalgia. That's no good. That's not healthy. But at the time I didn't realize that I kept looking back at the past and trying to understand why was it. I've done all I can do. I've gave all I can give. I gave myself. What more do you want? Okay. But that's a whole nother story, is you can give yourself to someone who don't even know themselves. So you giving yourself to someone who don't know themselves, and they're not going to accept you for who you are. They're not going to know who you are because they don't know who they are. But I realized that I was sitting back, like I said, sitting back, wondering what I did wrong, thinking about, what I should have changed, and having regrets and refocusing on things. And it wasn't healthy. It wasn't healthy. After a while, when I started feeling myself coming into, this really mode of, in essence, I was like Lot's wife. I became a pillar of salt, mentally, spiritually. I was dehydrated. My soul was dehydrated, so it was causing all kind of, destruction in my spirit, because I was looking back and reminiscing and thinking about things when they were such beautiful. The relationship was so nice, and all that. But now I know I don't have to stand and look back on situations. When situations happen in my life now, I keep moving forward because I know that God has a plan and he has a purpose. And everything that goes on in my life, I didn't realize that before, that everything that goes on in my life, God knows. Said all things work, all things. To me, they look bad, but to God, they don't look bad. And God is sitting up on his throne, daughter, why is you looking back on something back there? That wasn't what I had for you in the get-go. You caused that, you took on to something that was not in my plan. So now that I have been awakened spiritually, awakened my eyes physically, I can see now that I don't have to stand and look back and wonder what I lost or what I left. I don't have to be like Lot's wife, look back and, say I'm leaving everything and I'm going to the unfamiliar. The unfamiliar, even though it's unfamiliar and it might be strange to you, it's not strange to God. And in the journey of going forward to the unfamiliar, God makes it enjoyable, because now you're seeing the sovereignty of God. You're seeing how God has strategically mapped everything out. The steps of a good man are ordered by God. So when you're looking back, you're not going forward. You're just standing in one place as a statue, a monument, a pile of salt, like Lot's wife. So I just stopped on here this Sunday night for this little Sunday message to somebody. Stop looking back. Go forward. Just keep going forward. Because on your going forward, this journey is going to be so wonderful. I'm telling you, I'm having so much fun now. I used to didn't have fun. I didn't know what fun was. I didn't know what enjoyment was. But now I know what enjoyment is. And this is what God wants you to do. He wants you to enjoy this life. He don't want you to look back and, living in regrets and thinking about the mistakes you made. The Bible tells we all fall short of the glory of God. We've all sinned. We've all made mistakes. It's okay. But don't stay in your mistakes. Don't keep sitting there in a woe me pity party. Keep it moving, because your latter days is better. That's what God is saying. Your latter days is greater than anything that you can even imagine. And imagine if Lot's wife had a went into Zoar. She probably would have had 10 times more than what she had in Sodom and Gomorrah. And and it would have been peaceful, because Zoar was not like Sodom and Gomorrah. So she was living in a city that was full of sin and debauchery and all kind of crazy stuff. But God wanted them to go someplace else where He had something waiting on them that was even better. But because she couldn't let go of what she had, the cars and the houses and the friends, and she was the first lady, and she was Miss Boom Boom Boom, whatever, she was the talk of the town. She looked back, metaphorically, look back over her life and start regretting that she was leaving something that was familiar to her and walking to something unfamiliar. In your unfamiliar, God is already there. He said He'd go before you and prepare a place for you. God is already in your unfamiliar. He's there waiting for you to come. So stop looking back there on what was and look at what is to come. So, y'all, on that note, Dr. Day says, see ya.